You're watching Hellbent Holler live. No sound. I was muted. Now we're good. Hello, let there be sound, let there be light. Welcome to Hellbent Holler Live. My name is Jesse. This is Joe. This is Hellbent Holler Live. Welcome to Old Henry. He is now a member of the channel. Maybe that will help me remember to unmute my mics going forward. Yeah.
We'll see how it works.
We'll see. We'll see.
Welcome to the channel, Old Henry. We appreciate the support. So.
I'm messing with some different graphics stuff, so it's kind of a it's sort of whack-a-mole when it comes to putting all this together when it comes time for show. But welcome to the live show. We're so excited to have you guys here. If you have never been here before, this is our live show that we do every Monday at 7:30 Eastern, right here on Hellbent Holler on YouTube. This is kind of a casual hang that we have with our Hellbenders and everybody that enjoys watching the show and is part of the show. And we talk about everything from Dogman to Sasquatch, ghosts, demons, all kinds of high strangeness. And we have some of the best viewers that participate in the chat every week.
We need to do that more. You know how like late night talk show hosts will just be like, oh, what a beautiful audience we have here tonight, just to get that cheap kind of like easy kind of like applause. That's what we need to do. We need to start off everything, like every episode, just going, wow, what a beautiful audience we have tonight, you know, and just really go for the cheap kind of easy, low hanging fruit.
Why don't you give yourselves a round of applause?
You guys are the real heroes here. And then do stuff like, you know, well, this week, you know, thank you all for your support. Everything goes to support the Hellbent Holler Starving Puppy Foundation, and then just run like Sarah McLachlan type stuff. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we didn't really have that many viewers tonight. It looks like we're going to have to send some of these puppies to the alligator farm this week. Just stuff like that. Oh, what a shame. There we go.
That's dark. You really started out super dark on that.
Well, it's the orange lights are getting
You
to me.
started out super dark on that.
It's getting me.
Oh,
anyway,
nice. Nice. All right. So I feel like every time I come on here, I talk about what a whirlwind week it's been. Every week is a whirlwind.
to feel the warmth and confusion of that Hellbent Holler glow. Yes.
That's how every show starts.
Because we're juggling so damn much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
eventually I might have to get one of those little boards where I can just hit a button to have everything happen.
And we can like load like fart sound effects into it.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be a fart button for sure.
All the buttons are going to be fart buttons, no matter what you hit.
Will reprogram them.
Yeah.
Right now I have a wireless mouse that is barely connecting, and if I don't click on things correctly, that's what happens. But it was okay. I had a new graphic when we started out that I think looked pretty dope. And then I had a new intro. So you know what? It's baby steps. It's to slightly what I just lost it.
You lost what?
Nothing. It's working. All right. Cool. All right. It's two slightly incapable human beings doing this every day. So we'll see how it goes out. All right. So today we got a lot of little announcements to do before we get underway with the show and the topic at hand. I wanted to remind everybody that August 10th, we will be in McMinnville, Tennessee at the Tennessee Wildman and Cryptid Con. I'll be speaking at that. Joe will be doing his best at switching between slides, playing fart sound effects, and doing all of that. So we're excited to do that. I know that Dewey Edwards is going to be there. Martin Groves is going to be there. And it's just going to be a good time. It's going to be a blast. We're going to have a good time. And we just got word that in the past couple of days that Joe and I will also be at CryptidCon in November in Lexington, Kentucky. So if you are able to make it out to either one of those events, we would be much appreciated. And we would love to meet you guys. So if you can make it out to either one of those events, let us know. We'll be there. We're excited to do that. Excited to finally do a couple of events, you know?
Yes, indeed. So.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. You're very responsive today.
I'm going through this chat. This chat's flying. I'm trying to pull some stuff up. So, YouTube is having some issues tonight. Surviving Strange said logging out of chat and back in gives an AI summary of chat. I can only imagine how dark we can make the AI.
Oh, no.
This is how Terminator started. You know what I'm saying? So Skynet is going to get its genesis in our chat tonight.
So,
and then Sam Burton said he's having some technical challenges.
So. Actually got a notification 1 hour prior to going live tonight that YouTube is having issues with live streams. So if we have some issues, we'll just blame YouTube.
Yes,
indeed. How does that sound?
So I'm having a hard time highlighting stuff because it's flying so bad.
Yes. We can always put slow chat on next
don't
week.
Do that. That's make these people work.
That's what we need to do. We need to stifle these people. These people need to be stifled. LW Marshall says, CryptidCon, yes, see you there. Yes, we will be at CryptidCon. We're excited. We went to CryptidCon for the first time.
That was like our first cryptid, because we don't really do a lot of the what do you want to call it? Socializing, the conference circuit, or anything like that. We just don't do a lot of it. But we went to CryptidCon. It was like our first time ever just kind of going on as like spectators. We had a freaking ball.
It was so much fun. It was back when it was in Frankfort, Kentucky. The late, great Linda Godfrey was there. She signed a couple of my books. I got a photo with her. It was just wonderful to meet her. But also on that same ticket was David Paulides. So that was one of like the best weekends of our lives. We had so much fun. There was a really memorable after party that occurred that they just don't do anymore. I guess the cons get so big now, you can't have like a big after party with everybody because, you know, it just gets too crazy. But it was at a little place in Frankfurt and it was just so cool. It was a very intimate, cool conference. And we just had such a blast doing that. And then we went to, did we do 1 or 2 in Lexington? Two. Yeah. So, but this will be our 3rd in Lexington. So we're excited about doing that. That's going to be in November.
But we will be guests this time.
Yeah.
Have a table. Come up and meet us.
Yeah. We'll have a table. We're not just going to be wandering around aimlessly. But we are going to have a table and we'll be guests there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're excited to do it. We are very excited to do it.
So then the other thing is a lot of people saying that they enjoyed us on the latest Small Town Monsters. I did not know we were going to be in the second one. The one that Eli put out. I thought it was a one and done thing. Everything we used was on the first one. That was going to be it until the main documentary comes out.
Yeah. So the main documentary is still yet to be released. So that's not it. Like, that's not the end. This is not the end. There's still the main documentary that's coming out, I think, in July. We are featured in that one pretty heavily. But this one was Eli's second installment for his Land Between the Legs series. I think he said he's got 3 for what he did. I'm not sure. Yeah, we didn't expect to be in the second one that he put out Sunday, but we were.
Yep.
And I was watching it and I was like, God, if any like normal people watch this, they probably think that Joe and I are absolutely just bananas.
Yeah.
Because because like some of the stuff we're just straight face saying, but it's, you come to these conclusions after looking at this for so long. Some of the conclusions you come to, it's a wild and just bizarre subject. Sometimes the conclusions you come to are wild and bizarre, and some of the theories that you come up with are wild and bizarre. Weird in, weird out, I guess.
Although the one you saw Sunday, that was like, some of that stuff was like the last stuff we had filmed, and we showed up. We were there for almost 2 weeks, like 10, 12 days, something like that.
Yeah.
And by the time we got to doing our own investigations, like doing regular,
yeah, we were doing investigations every night.
And then we were out with Alexander Petikoff on foot for like several nights, going out like all night long, just taking him into some areas. We went into the area where Martin Grove's attack occurred. We took Alex into some of the abandoned campgrounds that we found through there that have been shut down mysteriously.
Yeah.
So by the time we got to the Eli thing, we were like literally had been going on like 2 and 3 hours sleep a day for days.
We were like insane people.
And I was just going, I was so tired. I don't remember talking about that.
Yeah, I think he asked you about the Gugway, and like, so in the video from Sunday, Daryl was talking about the Gugway, Martin was talking about the Gugway. And then it comes to you, and you start talking about the Gugway, and you're like, I do not recall talking about the Gugway at all.
So thank you for that, Curtis Whitaker. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Curtis Whitaker. That's very cool.
So you were quite kind, sir, and we will put that to good use.
Absolutely.
I am actually building we talked on the previous episode, the rain has not been kind to us, and it has been pretty hard on the equipment. We got equipment that's aging out. So I was actually, before we got on, going through and looking at our equipment priority list and moving stuff up and down. Our buddy South Force 10's in tonight.
What's up, South Force 10?
South Force 10, you've done a great job with the Small Town Monsters Project. Lots of good information, good points. Thank you. We were with some really great people on that, so we were glad to play a small part.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And that was our first time being in for that whole production where they all went to the LBL. We were all there. That was our first time actually working directly with Small Town Monsters, and that was we've talked about this before, but that was a really, really great experience, and it actually laid the groundwork for us to do other investigations with Alexander Petikoff. Recently, we went to the Brown Mountain Lights on our second expedition to check out the Brown Mountain Lights. We met Alexander Petikoff up there. So that was our second foray with Alexander as well. And I got some of the footage from his end in. So I'm working on some of that Brown Mountain Lights stuff. That's going to be a big doc. So that's not something I'm going to be able to crank out very quickly. So I want to actually give it the time that it deserves. But I am working on a expedition video right now for you guys that will be releasing this week. Right now, tentatively, it looks like for members, the video will be releasing on Wednesday, ad-free for members. So keep an eye out. That should come out to you guys this week. And it's an expedition video that we did a few months ago in the Grove. And it's actually, if you recall, I released this a few weeks ago. It's just a short clip where there's this yell. And it's dark, and I shush Joe, which that does not narrow down any of these videos, but I shush Joe, it's dark, and there is like a yell in the distance, and nobody can figure out what it is. It is insane. We're not sure what made it, but it's like a deep, guttural, huge yell in the distance. Well, this video is the context. It's that expedition. It's that day. It's that evening. And it's everything that surrounds us capturing that yell and that audio. So looking forward to releasing that this week for everybody.
That in your heart, I caught a monster on film. That's like probably one of the ones he created. Was that Instagram you were showing me?
Yeah. He's building a Dogman mount.
And it's freaking insane.
Yes,
it's
awesome.
Absolutely insane. With his permission, we might try to share some of those photos because his work is like next level. We've got the werewolf mask that he sent Jesse. That's just absolutely nuts.
Yep.
And then Rissel had a great point. Let's not forget the Dooster on that Small Town Monsters documentary. On the second one, he had the best comment in the entire thing.
Yes.
They were talking about how, according to internet lore, Dogman are in the north, Sasquatch are in the south, and then there's a war going on in the middle of the peninsula. And we were just going, it's not what we've heard. We have found prints that look like Bigfoot prints in the north. We have gotten scattered reports all up and down. And Dewey was just like, they're filming him next to some water. And he's like, well, that's like saying this lake is just divided in the middle. And you got like carp on the one end and like pike
on the
on the other end. And I'm just going, that's a damn good analogy.
That is a great, that's a
that was a
perfect
perfect analogy, Dooster. So, all right. So everybody's talking about that. Dewey is solid. That comment was the best. So, lots, damn.
Yeah. Martin Groves said that Crypticon in Lexington is going to rock. Cannot wait. Martin is also going to be there. We're going to try to finagle it to where our tables are side by side, which is what we usually do when we are at things together. So we're going to try to finagle that.
And then speaking of the Dooster asked if we are going to the Gatlinburg Bigfoot Con. We don't know yet. CryptidCon kind of threw a wrinkle in the works.
A wrench in the works.
A wrench in the works, yes.
It's not a wrinkly machine.
It is now. So we are going to see.
When is that exactly? I feel like we're so.
We know a lot of people that are going to be there, but we would just be there like incognito. We would like sneak in.
With our Groucho Marx.
Yes, indeed. Like, hats, sunglasses on. Trying to like sneak in and not get mobbed like the Beatles. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how we roll.
Bristol said that the main Small Town Monsters documentary is awesome. So anybody who contributed to their Kickstarter actually got to see it early. They got their copies early.
All right, so
I'm trying to cruise through these too.
Yep. Another Kentucky Boy showing up. Phenomenal episode on Small Town Monsters. All right, I'm going to try to get to some of the stuff that's in the chat that I have starred.
I feel like
Intense Tornado. Have you seen the Harvard report regarding cryptids? And the reason why he is mentioning cryptids, or she is mentioning, is Intense Tornado a man or a woman? Do we know?
I don't think
you don't have to share that.
You shouldn't
stay as mysterious as you like.
I don't think you need to assume a tornado's gender.
I don't need to assume a tornado's gender. They're referring to a Harvard report that came out this week, and let me pull it up so I don't butcher it. But basically, they're saying that the crypto-terrestrial phenomenon is not completely impossible, and that's basically saying that what we think of as UAPs and aliens might be another species that shares the planet or maybe on the moon from us, and that they've been here all along. We've been catching glimpses of them, but our technology is getting better, and that's why we are starting to be able to detect them more often. But that they are possibly the remnants of another species. Now, it was geared towards the UAP phenomenon, but pretty much every damn thing in there written could apply to what we would consider cryptids, okay? Creatures that are somehow a remnant of a previous population or civilization that we just brush up against sometime. And they're here. They've always been here. They're not coming in spaceships from anywhere else, but you've legit got Harvard scientists, and then there were, I don't even know how to search, I guess aliens. They also talked about how they might be disguised as humans and like walking amongst us.
The crypto-terrestrials, that was McTony's.
McTony did it's crypto-terrestrials have been, John, Keel talked about them. Jacques Vallée talked about them a great deal. McTony's did the book Crypto-Terrestrials, which I like a great deal, where he basically, it's a thought experiment, almost. He's positing that there was a sister species to Homo sapiens, and they're not as we're numerically superior to them. There's not as many of them, but they have a technology that's more advanced than us, but we're constantly closing that gap on them.
Yeah.
And that they have been practicing a deception on us for thousands of years. And a lot of the stuff that they do is all geared towards making us think that they are these insanely advanced alien species to kind of mask the fact that they're here. They're just not that many of them. And they're, I guess if we put our minds to it, we could probably.
It's almost like visiting North Korea.
Exactly. So, yeah, exactly. So, but here we go. It's I finally pulled the article up. And Harvard is where Dr. John Mack was, who did a lot of the work with people who claim to have experienced abduction phenomenon. And he went into it thinking that it was a mental issue, and then came out of it going, no, these people are they're being abducted by something in some way, shape, or form.
I listened to an interview with John Mack's attorney, and it was insane. Like insane. He was part of the Zapruder stuff, like with the Zapruder film, the cover up. I mean, there was so much stuff involved in that. But that's a interesting cat too.
I'm getting sidetracked real quick. 1 second.
Joe's pulling up that article.
I did not know this. Dr. Michael Masters was involved in this paper. He is the guy that did the extraterrestrial model, talking about how he thought there was a very good case that UAPs and a lot of alien interactions were basically people from the future, you know what I'm saying, coming back. Or maybe even the past, if you go far enough back, maybe there was a highly advanced race in the back and, a million years in the past or whatever.
Sort of the Graham Hancock theory about the advanced civilization that got destroyed by the younger Dryas.
Yes. So, but anyway, it's my big takeaway on this is read the paper, don't read the paper, do whatever. But some of the best and brightest are starting to come forward going, hey, just because a lot of this stuff hasn't been proven or disproven doesn't mean it's impossible. That the data is starting to build up. Even the anecdotal witness reports are starting to get to a point where you can't really refute them. What makes a person who's completely sane and every other way just go slightly crazy on this topic and hallucinate stuff? It's unlikely. So it's really cool. We live in a really interesting time right now. A lot of stuff that's been kind of just naysayed and poo-pooed. It's starting to kind of.
I think there's a lot of stuff converging, especially at this time, that you have so much information coming out. You have so many people revealing these secrets in terms of UAP disclosure. At the same time, you have tools that people like us can get our hands on to start going out and investigating this.
Again, stuff. I was working on our equipment list, moving stuff up and down, and you constantly just look at it and go, man, 10 years ago, this would not be possible.
No.
Getting my hands on some of this
stuff.
Well,
especially building some of the audio equipment that we're building right now to do our audio project. You wouldn't be able to get this stuff, and especially not get it in a couple of days delivered to your front door.
House. And then guess what? For somebody who, I didn't go to college on some of this stuff, but guess what? We have the sum of human knowledge at our fingertips here, and you can so easily speak to experts in this stuff and get guidance on how to use it.
And they're excited to speak to you.
And they're excited to speak to you. When I was doing stuff on infrasound, I was talking to bioacousticians who were just going, I can't believe somebody wants to talk to me about this stuff. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? It was to the point where, you would go onto like Carnivora, which is a internet forum for biologists, anybody involved with like biology.
I bet that's a hell of a party.
It's really freaking cool, to be honest with you. But you get on there and talk to some of these people, and they're just so shocked that people outside of that field have questions for them. And it's just stuff where you're just going, listen, I've learned this a little bit, but you're obviously an expert. May I ask you some questions? And everybody was just awesome. You know what I'm saying?
Well, what's wild is that you thought to do that. You thought to go to people who are actually experts in their field.
Because you don't ever take internet stuff at face value. If you're reading about, infrasound does this, how do you know that? Let's go to somebody who understands what it is and ask them and have a discussion with them, as opposed to just going, some dude on the internet said,
Yeah. Well, they also said that this half of the lake is bass and this half of the lake.
Exactly right. So, and then that's the best analogy.
That is the best analogy.
The Dooster. Anyway, prospecting USA, hunting America's treasures. When are you going to go to Talladega National Forest in Alabama? No plans to do that as of right now. Is there anything going on in Talladega National Forest? If there's current activity going on, let us know, and we might look into it. somebody else asked this earlier, but it had the forbidden word in it, so I couldn't put it up. But Nutslap wants to know, are you still working on the Manor video?
Yes, I am working on that. The problem with that video is
we don't know how to release
I don't know how to release it without getting taken down. That's a problem that we're dealing with right now. Is we got hit so bad for that live stream where we talked about the story. We just talked about the story. That's still up, but we got hit for it pretty bad. So I have to figure out how to tell that story.
Yeah.
And not just disable the channel completely. So
we like doing this. We like sharing this with y'all.
Yeah, that's the problem. But we do have a lot of stuff happening. We got a lot of stuff
people who go, you all are just too self-promoting. Oh my Lord, we want people to watch our channel and join this quest with us. And the more minds, the better. Yes, we're guilty as charged. Thank you for that, Paul Sherman.
Thank you, Paul Sherman. That's awesome.
New equipment fund. We greatly appreciate it.
We have a big expedition coming up.
Yeah, that we got to like fill in some, like I said, everybody's talking about how hot and just rainy it's been. And we have to go out regardless of the weather, and the rain has wreaked havoc on us. And we're building back up quickly because we got a big expedition coming up.
Yep.
A big cross spectrum expedition.
Yes.
That's going to involve Bigfoot, a couple of reports of Dogman that are coming in that are still new that we didn't expect to have in this area, occult activity, hauntings, spook lights, the whole enchilada.
Yes.
The whole paranormal enchilada.
Yeah.
And those are always great, but they're challenging as hell.
Yeah.
Because we've got to just go.
Because you don't know what am I going to need for. So when we go out into the woods, I always say this: we carry everything we have with us. We're not going to be right by the car. You know, we have to hike into these locations, so we have to take everything with us. But that also includes all the equipment. Food, water. Water is heavy, especially in high temperatures. We have to have a ton
water
of
filtration
water.
Because we're going to run out of water.
And then last time we were in this location, all the creeks were dried up. So water filtration was completely useless. So, but on that note, I will say we are going to be, how do I do this? How do I do this gingerly?
Going to be what?
We're going to be on an expedition coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And there will be live streams.
There will be live streams. We are going to, next Monday's live stream might be from the field. And then there will be some members only live streams. And again, people always get upset about that. Those have to not get broadcast into the general YouTube because it causes us problems, safety issues. But we are going to.
It's a safety issue, and like,
we think we have
false reports to the police.
We think we have a place because it's rare to find a spot that is wild enough to warrant an expedition or an investigation,
but also has any kind
also
of
has cell signal. But we think we've got a place next Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So next Monday it might be from our car on the side of the highway going, guys, we had to come out and get signal, but we're going to do the Monday night show. Or the next Monday night show might be to the public from the field, and you won't be able to know where we're at.
Yeah.
So we think we got it. We think we got it figured out. So, but don't hold us to anything.
Yes. So keep an eye out. We're definitely doing this expedition, but we're going to try to bring you guys along while we're out there Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And we're definitely Sunday going to do a members live investigation. So if you are a member, look out Sunday evening. There will be a live investigation for you.
Suji said Bigfoot and Dogman are both apex predator killing machines, so they really need to team up. I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, they certainly seemed like they teamed up with the Martin Groves incident.
Yeah.
But you don't know if maybe one is like a little bit more apex predator than the other one, man. And especially if you put intelligence into the mix. I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, the ability to plan. Obviously, there's got to be some sort of planning for these things to remain secret, regardless of what's going on. So I don't know. It's a good question, but one of those things that we don't know. William Simpson, do you guys ever camp out at a location? Yes, we do, but we don't usually share that footage openly because we don't want anybody knowing what our campsite looks like. You know what I'm saying?
Where we're at, what our campsite looks like.
Yeah,
it's just and the bigger this channel becomes, the more safety issues it seems like we have. So we have to be careful about that. That's why we stopped doing live investigations for the general public.
Too much grief
Yeah.
thrown our way.
Yeah. It was too much. It was too much. Oh, did you get the Michael Tovar?
Which did you have it?
Thank you, Michael Tovar.
Oh, thank you, Michael
for that
Tovar. Okay, I
1999.
appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I keep playing with my hair. My hair is wet and it drives me crazy.
That's all right. So
I'm sure everybody's like, well, she's just fidgeting constantly.
thank you for that, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
are immensely grateful.
Yeah.
And it helps a great deal.
This also helps with the purchasing of the boiled peanuts and hot sausages that will be required.
Pretty pricey. Miranda wanted to do a knife because we started doing knife checks again.
Yes.
I took mine off. I sat down. I have this is a gorgeous knife, man. Jesse got me this. I was just wanting one so bad, and then they were in and out of production. You could barely find one. They did a quick little run on them, and Jesse snagged me one a few years ago. I've got a Blackjack Knives Halo Attack. It is just a good classic, just knife. It's just a beautiful, simply beautiful, just elegant blade. Not huge, but very, very handy. Just get like a plain leather belt sheath with it. I never know where the camera's at. But just a gorgeous blade. It's one of my favorite knives I have. It's one of those ones where I'm always just like, God, I don't want to take it out and mess it up. But then I'm just like, man, it's just so
it's a classic
practical.
knife.
It's just a classic knife.
You know,
it's based off the old Randall knife patterns. But it's amazing. I love it. So.
I have a knife I got at Blade Show. I do not remember the maker. Do you remember?
Shira Forge.
Was it Shira Forge?
Shira Forge. Yep.
Was this the Shira Forge?
That's your Shira Forge. Shira Forge is based out of North Carolina.
Yes.
Local to us.
So he is based out of Silva, North Carolina, actually. Yeah. I totally. Oh, you know what? I have this in one of our videos.
You do.
I started a fire with this.
Mm-hmm.
This idea. Look at that. It's all coming back to me now. But yeah, it is a handmade little. It's a little knife. I love when we go to a Blade Show or anything like that. Anything that's like a small little knife for my tiny little hands. That's the first thing I like to get. So.
All right. A couple other things here real quick. Chat's flying. You guys are freaking filling the show up tonight. You guys are carrying the load. You don't have to do anything. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah. So.
Couple quick things.
One other thing.
Scientia City. Do you guys think there are different Sasquatch species? And then they followed up with, I wonder if there are different Sasquatch tribes. Some seem aggressive. Some seem nice. I will say this, that what people report out in the Pacific Northwest seems fundamentally different than what we experience in the Southern Appalachians.
It seems physically different, and then the way it behaves is different.
They're dealing with some Harry and the Henderson stuff out there. We don't seem to get that in this part of the South.
Right.
They seem smaller. They seem more aggressive. They seem like diabolical through here. So we don't seem to get a lot of the Harry and the Hendersons type stuff.
No.
And I think that that's what makes people so quick to call hoax on one another, because somebody out west has a Sasquatch sighting and it's this beautiful, wonderful thing. And it just seems like a natural creature. It's eating some berries. It runs off into the woods. And then somebody in this neck of the woods has one and it seems more sinister and there's more paranormal elements to it. So they hear each other's story and they each look at each other and go, you're lying, because that's not what I experienced. I think that there's different, I don't know if I want to say tribes, I'm going to say manifestations of the phenomenon. And I know that's a loaded statement, but I think that is, and you know what, depending on what it is, that could almost be done on purpose to keep everybody, kind of just disorganized and not unified and looking into it. That's why we had a lady that was like leaving a comment earlier when I was working on comments, talking about how we were wrong. Not saying we were wrong, but just saying that we didn't give enough credence to the idea that when we talk about how these things are here sometimes and not others, she was going, well, you don't give any credence to the fact that they might be migrating because of food sources or whatnot. And I'm going, if you think that's the case and you see data to support that in your area, I highly recommend you looking into it.
Of course.
We don't have data supporting that in our area. It doesn't seem to ebb and flow by the seasons or what you would expect a animal that's migrating because of food. But guess what? You might have data to support that in your area. Knock yourself out. That'd be great for you to look into.
And if presented with that data, we would accept that data and maybe change our hypothesis.
Well, at least for that area, it still ain't happening in ours.
Yeah.
So, and then I also had the thing that if animals are migrating, that's movement from area to area. Do you see a corresponding increase in roadside crossing sightings? And I always go back to this. If they're on the move constantly over great distances, roads network this entire country.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And if you're moving from one national
you would have
forest
more
to another,
sightings.
why aren't any of them get hit by cars?
Yeah.
Obviously, roadside crossings are one of the largest percentage of sightings that are reported. You're coming around the bend and it's just missed. Where's the risk taker that just
slipped
misjudged?
on a banana peel?
Yeah, exactly. Where's the one that slipped on a banana? It's bananas. Slipped on a banana peel. If you're dealing with something that basically everybody's saying are people make mistakes. And then if you're dealing with something that makes no mistakes at all and can almost see a few seconds ahead in the future to not make those mistakes, it's not a monkey. That's not a person, that's something that's beyond the natural at that point. So
dare you say supernatural?
So SoCal Squatcher asked the same thing. Do we think they're interdimensional? I don't know. I'm going to say this though. I don't think they're just living in the woods, having babies and doing all this, and the entire natural life cycle takes place in the woods. There's something else going on.
And also there's so many sightings where people say that they see it. It's there 1 minute and then it's gone.
There's a guy that
there's no way it could have gotten out of view that quickly, that it's there 1 minute and then it's gone.
There is thank you for that, Vincent. We greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And if I miss any of those, somebody just go, hey, you
ungrateful swine.
You ungrateful swine. For some reason, they're not showing up.
They're not showing up in our
save chat like they normally do.
I have a feeling that we're having a lot of issues.
YouTube issues. So if we miss one, call us ungrateful swine and go, hey, how about a little acknowledgement for the generosity I just showed you, you turds. Anyway, so wants to know if we think that they are interdimensional. Damn, we're all over the place tonight. Anyway. I just don't think they're here all the time. And when I say here, I don't think they're in the woods having babies, living, growing old, dying. There's something else to it. There's something else going on, whether it's interdimensional, they have the ability to cloak themselves, whether they're I don't think subterranean's a thing, but I don't know. Maybe,
Well, there's lots of sightings in places where there are not known caves or there's no possibility of caves.
Well, maybe there's an entrance that I don't know. I mean, there's something there. It's not a natural animal. It's something going on there. And it's when you see the associations with high strangeness, Skinwalker Ranch and all of that, there's something going on. There's something we're missing. I mean, maybe all of these guesses, interdimensional, has the ability to cloak, subterranean, maybe none of them are right. And it's something that we would never guess in a million years. But guess what? Something's going on.
Something's going on.
Something's going on.
When we talk about this stuff, this is kind of spitballing. This is hypothesizing. What are some answers what are things that could answer this question? I'm not going to be married to any of these theories whatsoever, because some of them are just bananas, which we'll go with bananas again.
Go with bananas.
Some of them are just bananas, but this is a crazy subject and the evidence has been crazy over the years.
Here's what I have a problem with is that people will go, I'm going to accept that there are what amount to werewolves in 21st century America, first world country. But I'm going to start putting limitations on it out the gate, even though we don't. To me, the sky's the friggin' limit at this point. You know what I'm saying? I hear stuff that I just go, there's no way in hell that's possible. And then I have to stop myself and go,
let's reconsider.
I'm putting limitations on something that right now we don't have known limitations on. We're putting arbitrary limitations on stuff. So I don't know. But again, and guess what? Here's the deal. One day, maybe something would get proved on it and we would go, man, they were here all along. They had the ability to do this, you know what I'm saying? But my gut instinct based upon what I'm seeing is I don't see that as being very probable.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Corey. Howdy guys from New Hampshire. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you so much for that, man. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
And this kind of brings me to the topic of what we were going to kind of focus on today a little bit. We've been talking about Sasquatch a lot. We're also going to talk about these upright canids, Dogman.
Oh, you mean actually get to the topic of the show now? Okay. Damn. All right.
What?
Wow. No, I'm just saying. Look how professional Jesse is.
No, I'm just saying that you have to. Okay. What I'm You've now driven me off course. But
That's what I'm here for.
yeah. Actually, Julie Bug, thank you for that, Julie Bug. That
Julie
is
Bug,
beyond
thank you for
awesome.
that. Thank you. You know what? We're not awesome. You're awesome.
Julie Bug.
Thank you for that, Julie. We greatly appreciate it. So thank you.
So we were talking about this today.
We're going to be replacing that phasm at this rate. So anyway.
Yes, we are. We were talking about this today. With the STM documentaries coming out, with all of these people starting to go to the LBL, with a lot of people starting to look at the Dogman phenomenon, is that attention feeding into this phenomenon?
And that's a great segue, because if there's something beyond just the mere physical with these things,
if they are a supernatural creature, a paranormal creature, a thing that is more aware on a higher level,
or even if they are
controlled.
physical beings with abilities that would kind of get them into that supernatural realm, not phantasms, they're not ghosts, they're not specters, they're physical creatures, but they kind of straddle the line between our reality and something else. If that's going on, what is the increase in attention and discussion? When we've talked about it before, attention is very akin to worship, and worship apparently is like I heard of Brother Richard from Small Town Monsters, who is an Irish monk who is very insightful into
Brother Richard from Strange Familiars.
Strange Familiars, yes. I'm sorry. What did I say?
Small Town Monsters.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
You got
I got Small Town Monsters on the brain from Strange Familiars, and he is very insightful into the other. And I got a quick little aside on that after this, but he talks about how attention is the currency of the soul. That's his line that he uses. Attention basically gives energy to something. When people are dealing with unwanted hauntings, or regardless of what the genesis of those hauntings are, dead people or something else, poltergeist activity, they say, don't pay attention to it. Paying attention to it strengthens it. Strengthens it. You got a lot of people paying attention to Dogman and upright canids right now that weren't before. So if this phenomenon shares something with that poltergeist phenomenon or something else, what is this increase in attention, this increase in mental energy being projected towards them? What effect is that going to have?
And it's sort of akin to the tulpa.
Exactly. So now, on the flip side, let's play devil's advocate. If they're completely physical, what is the increase in people being willing to maybe accept what they are seeing or experiencing going to happen?
So that they don't have that filter on their brain. Sometimes people will see something or experience something and they just can't handle it.
Yeah.
Their brain completely blocks it out. So even if they have seen one of these things, say they have a Class A sighting of the Dogman, it's right there. There's something about your brain that just cannot accept that's what it's seeing. And then somehow it's just gone. The filter is on there.
Well, I mean, a lot of really great thinkers right now are talking about what they call, the nature of reality and how consciousness plays into it, and how you don't really interact with reality. Your mind has developed a dashboard for you to pay attention to the important stuff, for you not to die, so you can continue the species.
You just need the basic stuff.
You just need the basic stuff, and you tune out the stuff that's just going to distract you, that you can't really do anything about. And I often wonder about that. I mean, could there be stuff out there that people experience and it's so traumatic and it's just so earth-shattering, they block it out afterwards? I also go back to that one Skinwalker Ranch thing that always gets tied into the Dogman phenomenon, and where a couple of the Navajo Rangers out there, Navajo police officers, is it the Navajo that are around there? I just completely drew a blank.
Where?
Skinwalker.
Yes.
That is Navajo. For some reason, it didn't sound right.
You've got the Utes, the Navajo.
Yeah. I'm thinking. So they
and the Paiutes
came up near the gate of Skinwalker Ranch, and they saw two people in trench coats and hats smoking cigarettes. They turned around. They were upright wolves. And then they just disappeared. And I'm always like, is that what they saw? Or did they see something that was so alien to them that that's just how their minds processed it? But basically, at this point, you primed the pump. You've got people thinking about upright wolves and what effect is that going to have? But the more important thing is, as we were talking about, the mental energy that's going into this phenomenon now. Is it going to strengthen it? Are we in for a summer of...
A Dogman summer?
Well, we're in for a Dogman summer. What's new? What's old is new again. Are we in for a summer of feral dog attacks, black bear attacks, all of these things
that you see pop up and
in the news.
There's no explanation.
Disappear.
They go away.
And they disappear again quickly. Are we in for a summer of that? Are we in for a summer of attacks on people and livestock and pets, animals that just don't quite seem right, and they get quickly explained away by feral dogs and bears,
and then they completely
and then they just drop off the news cycle? Are we getting ready to see that?
It seems like we had that year that we had Dogman Summer, the first Dogman Summer.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like we were having a huge uptick of that
Yes.
that was going on. And that's what actually led us to the LBL, is that there was an uptick in that kind of activity around Kentucky, North Carolina, Tennessee. And then we started getting reports out of North Carolina, just north of us, of Dogman attacks and Dogman sightings.
Real quick, Sherry Griffey's in the house. She's doing better. I don't know if you've had a chance to see what I just happened.
Sherry, you better get better because you have to come to CryptidCon in November.
But we're glad to hear that you were doing better. I was unaware of what was going on with her, and I'm not going to share her business, but she is feeling better this evening.
That is
I'm
good.
glad to see that. Alan Lassiter, your letter went out today. So anyway, that's what I want to talk about, and I want us to all maybe be aware of going into the summer. What sort of summer are we in for?
And if you see a strange animal attack in your local news, maybe look a little deeper into it. Don't drop it. Just keep looking
and
into
let
it.
us know.
And let us know about it, because we're always very interested in that. We're interested in weird animals getting out and that story disappearing, or having a weird, conclusion, or strange animal attacks. And it seems like I said, gosh, that summer and that year, those 2 years leading up to us going to the LBL initially, there were so many wild dog attacks that occurred up through there. So
Suji I have a nightmare that these cryptids are given the go ahead to start converging on towns and going house to house, unaliving everybody. Damn, that's grim.
Yeah.
Anyway, B, I'm going to do a quick aside here real quick. He's not in the chat tonight, but our friend Cryptid Response and I were texting a couple days ago, because I have not had a chance to really keep up my correspondence with people because our lives have been so crazy. I asked him how his area was going, because he's had a Dogman encounter himself, and then a member of his family had a Dogman encounter. And he lives up in that area of North Carolina where we were getting a ton of Dogman sightings and reports from for a while. And I go, anything weird going on your way? And he's not really. It's been unusually quiet, actually. And I went, we're hardly getting any reports from this region right now. Seems odd, because we were getting so many for a while.
Yeah.
And he goes, here's a scary thought. All the scouting and gathering intel is over, and now the war begins. And I just went, yeah. And then so when Suji said that, I went, oh my Lord, that's what Cryptid Response kind of said it. A quick aside note, just before we go much deeper in this. JD Smooth goes, do you think the face shape-shifting to run people out of their areas? I was talking about that guy, Brother Richard, that's on Strange. And if you don't ever listen to Strange Familiars, Timothy Renner, read his books.
That's one.
We have veered off. We don't pay a lot of attention to a lot of the people that are doing stuff in this, just because we're doing our own thing. We got our own theories and all of that. But there are some people that are just so damn insightful.
There's some people that just stick with you from the beginning to the end, and that is definitely Timothy
Renner is a huge influence on us. Just his thought process. I just constantly just go, man, he's on the same wavelength. He's got this Irish monk, Brother Richard, who is very in tune with the other, as he calls it. And that's all manners of, and we use that term quite a bit, the other. It's there, it's with us, it ain't us though. It's something else. It's the other. And that pretty much covers the cross spectrum of paranormal and cryptid phenomena. But he was talking about how he had just gone to, because the Vatican just released a thing basically talking about the church's response to supernatural activity. And it was basically geared towards Marian sightings. Okay. Virgin Mary sightings. Right. Okay. Which is also in the UFO world with the Bledsoes and the lady. A lot of people see this shimmering woman and they tie it into Virgin Mary sightings.
What about when people see a woman in white with Bigfoot sightings?
Exactly right. It's all tied together. Well, the Vatican just released a paper on how they're going to approach some of these things. And everybody thought it was going to be about UFOs and UAPs, but it was basically about mostly Marian apparitions, but also some of the paranormal stuff that we've always lived with.
Now, is this like a newsletter that goes out every couple of years?
This was a giant.
Or is this like a call to arms? Hey, let's get a handle on this.
This was just a thing that came out, and they were kind of amused by it when they released it, that the press attached the UAP associations to it. But anyway, there was a conference of people that are engaged with exorcisms that are sanctioned by the Catholic Church. And they had a conference. So they had a conference and they had like all sorts of stuff. And he goes, a lot of it was just talking about how you can, partner with, and I thought this was really interesting. Before a Catholic exorcist, an ordained exorcist will perform an exorcism, the church, a psychiatrist and a psychologist and a medical doctor all have to be in agreement that there's not an underlying physical or psychological cause to this. One of those has to, and obviously it won't be the priest, but one of the doctors involved can't be a Catholic. You have to have somebody completely outside the church.
So you have kind of a control factor there.
Control factor. So Brother Richard went to this, and we ought to link the episode to this as well for people to know. And he's just talking briefly about going to this conference and all of the seminars and speeches that went on. And he said, and I wish that they had dived into this, but there was just so much to unpack in this episode. He said that he had been talking to members of the church and exorcists from all over the world, basically. And he goes, I find it very interesting that I talked to some of my brethren from the Southern Appalachians. And they are dealing with what they are describing as interactions with the Fae, that what they're dealing with matches up exactly with the Fae. And these are areas where a lot of the Scotch and the Irish settled when they came here. Well, they're having people reach out to the church for help, and they're going, this doesn't seem like a biblical demon. This seems like a manifestation of the Fae. So and he said multiple people said that.
Are you suggesting that Fae perhaps hitched a ride over to this area? But
I think
has there been a history of this kind of activity, or is it just starting to ramp up?
I don't know.
Maybe they got over here and then there's been some sort
maybe it's just they were here and
period.
They're portraying themselves in the way through the lens that they're being viewed. What's your quote from the Mothman? What do you look like? Well, it depends on who's looking at me. Maybe it's something like that. But anyway, I saw that and I just thought it was interesting because we've ran into some stuff, and I swear that the activity that we're engaging with right now and what we seem to be interacting with right now seems to follow what you would expect the Fae to be, and it seems like we're not alone. There's other people out there that are legitimately going, this seems like the Fae.
Specifically, some of this light phenomenon that we've been experiencing.
Yeah. So, and I don't want to get too far off our topic for tonight, but when he said that, I just went, well, I talked about Brother Richard earlier. And in our region, there are people going to the church, and the church itself is going with all of these controls in place. They're going, we seem to be dealing with the Fae.
Would that explain some of that with the LBL?
Hawk's dipping out. Later, Hawk. Have a good night, buddy.
Bye, Hawk. Would that explain like the LBL with taking the iron out of the land and my whole theory?
Yeah, and somebody had talked about, like, because it's cold iron generally, it's processed iron that generally the Fae are sensitive to. Iron that's been like, but again, what was going on there? You were pulling iron out of the ground, smelting it. It was going through the transformative process, and then it was being sent out.
Yes.
And I'm going, how do you guys not see the symmetry to all of this? How all this kind of lines in, and how we've already got an area that's a liminal spot, and now you're shipping out that it's a lot of this stuff seems to follow some sort of weird poetic logic sometimes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the LBL is a perfect case in that. But anyway,
there seems to be this like overarching pattern, but you can't quite lay your hands upon it.
Yeah. But so my thing is that I think that we're in agreement that I think that everybody here feels the energy in the air. You feel how warm it is. I'm hearing that. Oh wow, we got a whole. And now everything's showing up.
Well, it's because I'm clicking on it. YouTube,
okay, so YouTube's not usually. If somebody is generous enough to send us a super chat or join up,
it will.
We get a notification. But
like I said, there's a lot of problems with
so it ain't us messing up tonight
with live streaming on YouTube right now.
But everybody can feel the energy in the air. Everybody's talking about, and the analogy was somebody was talking about how warm the Gulf and the Atlantic Oceans are this year going in, and how much energy is there, and how bad hurricane season's going to be. And I go,
how bad have all the tornadoes been? How bad has everything
and
been?
I went, it ain't just the oceans that are charged with energy. You can just feel it. It's just, there's so much, and heat is energy. There's so much energy out here. And now you're going to add in this conscious thought. You're going to add in the thought projections and paying attention to something. And they always tell you, when you're in the woods and you hear something, don't pay attention to it. And people are paying attention to it. There's millions of people that are being exposed to the subject.
There's
right
hundreds
now.
of podcasts. There's shows like ours.
The Small Town Monster stuff has an enormous reach, especially the main one. What are we in for this summer? It feels charged. It feels charged. That comment that Suji made, that comment that Cryptid Response makes, maybe we're the first stage. And I know this is like drawing such a narrative, but the thought occurred to me, and I just went, I'm not just going to just brush this to the side. Maybe we're entering the second phase of at least what's going on in modern times. You know,
would you call it a phase?
A phase. Oh, good Lord. Thank you
I have
for that.
to ruin everything.
Thank you for that on the Tops X. I'm new, but I watch videos. Nice to catch you live. Thank you for joining us. We're here every Monday. Please tip your waitress. Two Shadows without comment. Thank you for that. Thank you so much for that. We're going to replace the Phasm and then maybe some of the recorders. Anyway, Ray, thank you for that. Sorry, I've been AWOL for a while. My wife was injured at work, so taking care of her is kept me busy.
Sorry to hear that, Ray.
Everybody's having crazy couple of months, man. I'm catching up on your adventures. I hope this helps. Enjoying the research. Stay safe. I hope your wife is doing better. I hope you guys are starting to. Everybody has been so insanely busy. And it's weird because, like I said,
there's like no normalcy.
I'm not keeping up with correspondence at all. I haven't talked to hardly anybody recently at all. And when I do have a little bit, I go, I'm so sorry. You wouldn't believe how crazy it's been. Just everything is just, and then they're just like, oh no, it's the same way here. Everybody seems that they're.
So I know that basically every religion has, or every sect of every religion has some sort of revelation, has some sort of apocalypse coming or something like that. There's some apex. Do you think that there's some sort of spiritual,
well, even not to get that dramatic,
apex going
but
on
there's
transformative
ages that come along. What is that? The age of Aquarius. Everything was supposed to change. You're entering remember when the Mayan calendar was ending? You have these. I don't know. And maybe it's just because we're so immersed in the subject, but it just seems like the rubber band's getting stretched and it's to the breaking point right now. There's like a lot of stored energy that just seems like it's getting ready to get released. And how are we going to see it get released? Thank you for that, Ian Williams. Thank you for that. And you were welcome. I hope the show was interesting. So, and then finally, Larry Sharp, member for 6 months. Thank you, Larry. Some of y'all have been some OG ride or die people, man. Just even when we got hit with a storm and we were absent a little bit, y'all just stuck to us, and we are just eternally grateful. Eternally grateful.
We talked in our episode where we talked about Jack Parsons, Aleister Crowley, UAPs, everything, the demonic nature of extraterrestrials. That seems like that was kind of a turning point when a lot of this started. And Aleister Crowley was trying to bring on the age of Aquarius, trying to bring on the Eon of Horus,
trying to bring on the Antichrist. Trying to bring on all of this stuff. And again, I can't say that it's. I can't say it's any of that, but it's something. There feels like there's something here right now,
and there's something
happening.
Feels
that there's something building. That
where are we on the timeline, though? Do you think
it's like you're waiting for the shoe to drop? You're waiting for that other shoe to drop, and again, maybe it's because we're so immersed in it. But I'm going. Everybody else has got to feel it too.
How much further does it have to boil before the pot boils over?
Exactly. And and now you've got all of this attention that's feeding it as well. There's just energy. There's energy everywhere. And how is that going to manifest? Are we in for that summer? Are we in for a summer for a lot of like mysterious dog attacks that just drop off the news? Hikers being attacked by black bears. And then we have to get hit by, well, statistically, this hardly ever happens. Well, it just happened just now, It doesn't help that dude that just get eaten by a bear, and it just feels like we're in that. Martin Groves had posted a thing that he just took 2 new reports that came up. You want to run the P.O. box too, by the way?
Mm-hmm. No problem.
And the other thing too is, guys, we live in a different town than our P.O. box, but we can't get a P.O. box where we're at right now.
No, we cannot.
So we have to hit that P.O. box every couple of weeks. So, but
Todd Hall's been a member for 7 months. Thank you, Todd Hall, for contributing to this project.
Thank you so much for contributing to the project.
Dead End Yard Hunt has a little one here. I was swimming in the Gulf of Florida. It was very warm. Then we got 14 inches of rain and it cooled off last week.
I wonder if it's going to, I don't know. I mean, it's just.
I'm nervous about the
Is 14
hurricane.
inches of rain normal, even for Florida? That's a lot of rain, man. That's a lot of rain. So it's
no, that's insane. I'm kind of nervous about the hurricane season this year, you know. With how the tornadoes have been. I mean, the fact that you and like where we live got hit by what we think was a tornado. They claim it was a straight line winds, but it was enough to take down all of this stuff over here, and in a straight line over this way, you know. But it was, there's just a lot going on, and it seems like, and I know every year we're like, oh, this is the worst hurricane season ever. But it's just with these tornadoes going on, it just seems like it's happening more and more frequently. That there's like some sort of pressure just building all around us.
Yeah, and it's just it's. I think we have a unique perspective. I just think that a lot of us that are here on the show tonight, we get some very open-minded people who still have critical thought. You know, you still go again. It's always back to that thing: investigating the irrational in a rational manner. Okay. Investigating topics that are unnatural, but trying to follow a logical path, being accepting of the fact that things happen outside of science, but still at least trying to think things through.
Yeah.
And we're also out there at night in these areas, in these window areas, in these areas of like high activity. You feel it. You just feel it. Just the amount of just flat out bad luck that's befallen us lately. It's to the point now where I'm going, you know, things are charged. It's something trying to keep us from going out there sometimes. It's something trying to keep us from looking into it sometimes. I'm not trying to put any sort of like importance on us that's not there. We're very small potatoes and we're barely existent in the grand scheme of things. But maybe there's just so much energy that even the small potatoes are getting a little bit of the negative stuff right now.
Maybe there's some.
There's enough for everybody right now.
There's enough for everybody, but maybe there's this fear that we're going to flip the wrong stone.
You know? But it's you feel it, and I'm just going, what are we in for this summer, man? As this stuff comes out, what are we in for?
You've got me so nervous for this expedition we're about to go on because we're going to a very bizarre place.
Where you're going to a bizarre place where there's a lot of, and then you get the
cross spectrum.
You get the occult activity. Somebody left a comment within the past couple of days, and they might even be in the chat right now. If so, you can chime in, not chime in. And they go, you guys have kind of inspired me to start looking into some of this stuff. But I also want to go beyond the typical cryptid and paranormal stuff. There's a lot of occult activity. And he's going, there's all these reports of homeless people being approached by people who are known to be associated with some of these cults going, hey, you know, we'd really like to help you guys out, offering them all this stuff. And then these people disappear and they're never to be seen again.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I'm going, where are you seeing this at? You get the people element that seem to be kind of nudging it along in that direction. You know what I'm saying? Adding their own efforts to whatever's building. And guess what? Might not be anything.
So you said
we might be here in the fall going, that's the slowest summer we ever had, man. But it doesn't feel that way right now.
What a breeze. No.
Yeah, exactly. What a breeze. So easy.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Going back to the occult stuff and these groups that may be worshiping this and feeding into this, you said earlier that attention is the currency of the soul. So what is worship?
Worship is focused attention.
I understand that, but what is that? Is that gold? Is that like when you're talking about attention is the currency of soul? Is that, you know, you're talking about pennies versus gold? Or you talk about when you have larger groups of occultists who are feeding into this? Yeah. Is that giving it more power than just this normal attention work?
I would assume, and we're going into an area that has become a hotbed, and it hasn't really been talked about except for anybody who's in there. People that are in there have talked about it a lot. That is a lot going on right now. So I don't know. I just think we all need to keep our eyes open and need to be aware and look for the subtext and stuff and try to discern what's going on past the normal news that we're filtered and really be aware of the fact that there's potential for stuff to get. And I would hope that what Suji said about just like literally going door to door.
Can we not do that?
Yeah, maybe. I'm not saying it would get to that point, but maybe it's going to be a lot more active this summer. The pump is primed, I think.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that we know that the mainstream media is not going to just go, hey guys, a lot of people going missing out in those national parks. That's a little weird. They're going to play it off. But in some cases, they almost were in that digital age cuts both ways right now. it's easy for them to spin things and kind of like tell you that nothing's happening, but the story does get out for them to have to spin it. So
the waters get muddied even more. Surviving the Strange has one of my favorite comments here. Don't sell yourself short. Y'all are my favorite potatoes.
So,
we are Doyles. Small little potatoes.
Small little Irish potatoes. Crypto Casper is talking about how awesome Timothy Renner drew Jesse's Wendigo tattoo. It was a piece of art. And she reached out to him and went, hey, can I get that tattooed on me? And he was gracious enough to say yes. But it's weird. Like I said, I don't want this turn into like a Timothy Renner promo show. But guess what? Worse things, to have. But if you just like watch
Welcome to the Renner Love Hour.
And we don't agree with him on everything. We don't agree with anybody on everything. I don't think anybody agrees with us on everything. It's okay. But just somebody who's got such a rare insight into a lot of this stuff, and his thought process is something I find a great deal of value in, so.
Freddie Baker has an interesting little aside here. They found a lady about 6 days ago in Letcher County, Kentucky. They found her with animal marks.
I'd never even heard about that. So, yeah.
Let me make note of this.
So we'll look into that. Yeah, for one solid year, a few years ago, I was tracking like animal attacks, both animal attacks on humans and then animal attacks where like livestock or pets were being attacked and they didn't quite know what was doing it. And then there'd be a little bit of confusion afterwards. And it was just, they were cropping up everywhere. And they might still be going on. They just might be suppressed a little bit more. I also am not as diligent about looking as I used to be, but I think I need to ramp that back up and really kind of spend a little bit of time every day trying to go through and look.
Well, imagine what goes on when our headlines are dominated by stuff that doesn't matter, and when journalists focus on all of this ancillary stuff that doesn't matter. Maybe they're told to do it. Maybe they prefer to do it. But think about all these things that don't make it through. You have families who are screaming at the top of their lungs that they want something looked into, and nobody hears them. Nobody sees them. Just because Kim Kardashian had another baby or something,
Anyway, Jeff Yarrington, thank you very much for that. We greatly appreciate it.
It's always when I bring up
Kim Kardashian. What's that now?
It's always when I bring up Kim
People start throwing cash away. So Ian Williams had said, hello from Germany. We're getting people from all over the world. Iceland, Germany.
We
need to go on a world tour, man.
The Hellbent International Guard.
It's going to be like when Michael Jackson went, but it's just going to be a bunch of weirdos,
Michael Jackson did a world tour or what?
Michael Jackson did several world tours. He's freaking Michael Jackson.
Was it like a thing?
It's what you would expect Michael Jackson to go on world tour for. He's king of pop, man. What the hell? So don't do any Dave Chappelle jokes right now. Any potential theories about Dogman sightings in areas with closed down government training areas? Easiest way is to disappear is to hide in plain sight. There are people on this chat right now that could tell you that in the LBL, there have been areas that have supposedly had attacks in them that then were closed down for local police tactical training, all sorts of stuff. One of the areas that we go to, we went in one night and there were several military trucks there, and there were supposedly some National Guard training going on is what everybody assumed it was. So that does seem to happen. I don't think it happens all the time because I don't think the government's capable of responding to every single thing that happens.
I found one of their hats.
You did find one of their hats in the bushes. So I think that happens. I still don't think that the government, and people will go, the government knows what's going on. That's the scary part. I don't think they do. I don't think there's a breeding program of any kind. I don't think there's anything like that at all. I think that they might have a better understanding and they might know a little bit more and they might respond to some of it. But I think that's the scary part, is that nobody really knows what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And that's frightening that they don't really know what's going on. They might have pieces to the puzzle.
I mean, wouldn't that instill more fear in people if they found out? I think people would be more comfortable with the fact that our government knows about this and has a hand in it, as opposed to our government knows about this and they don't know what to do. They're
struggling to keep the lid on. Every day it's just barely hanging on by their fingernails, keeping a lid on stuff. Now, here's the other thing too, is that There's some theories that have bandied about in the past that part of the reason why the government tries to keep a lid on it, it's to keep more people from believing in it, because that belief strengthens
It
it.
continues to feed into it.
Feeds into it. And if you hit critical mass, when you get enough people believing in something.
So if that was a real tactic to kind of shut down this growth in belief, wouldn't they have a hand in possibly shutting down channels like ours?
Shutting down people like us, you know what I'm saying? The ultimate shutdown, maybe, people will sometimes just talk about like researchers, and mostly in the Bigfoot fields where I've heard this, but I'm sure it happens in other fields. And it's mostly the Bigfoot field just because that's what I paid the most attention to. But they'll talk about like, oh, people eventually hit this point where the frustration level hits and they just drop out of sight. And I'm going, did they? It was the frustration, or they drop out of sight because they were dropped out of sight? They were either told or made to stop and go away. Now, there are some very high profile people with a lot of attention paid to them that talk about this stuff openly. But maybe that's part of the reason of the cover up, is they don't want that belief there, because that belief strengthens it, and they're trying their best to not let this stuff get too
or they'll only allow controlled actors.
For those of you who read that theory has been bandied about, and there's a book called Monster Hunter International that's out there, where it's about basically people hunting monsters for money, for hire. And that's one of the things. There's the Monster Control Bureau, I think it's called, the government, and they come in and do the Men in Black intimidation. They kill witnesses and everything like that, because they're going, the story can't get out. With them, it's more like a Lovecraftian type thing, as the arch nemesis in it. But the more people that believe in it, if it hits critical mass, they're able to enter this dimension at their reality at their will. And that's what they're trying to go against.
Sammy Eldon, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sammy.
It looks like we'll be ordering a Phasm soon.
We've got to replace, dude, I told you, Phasm GoPro,
because we're only
digital
gonna
recorders, and then we killed the FLIR.
We're not going to have that Phasm this week.
Yeah.
Are we?
Don't know. We'll see. So, but
I'm really nervous about going out there this week.
Good,
okay?
Good, because that nervousness is also a form of energy. When you have fear into it, some of these things feed off of fear. It's why we have kind of gotten kind of open into just living in the moment in these investigations. We talk about that all the time. Give yourself over to it, and then maybe second guess it later on. But for that moment, kind of live in the moment and experience it, because maybe that's what this stuff wants, is a reaction. And if you give them a reaction, they'll give you more stuff to react to. And maybe, just maybe, we catch it on camera.
Well, the way our personalities are too is we're very, spazzy, reactionary people.
Us now, we're very calm and sedate. So yeah.
It's like when you found that recorder turned off, and I just kept going, what? It's that scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Like, that was scary. That's like really scary. We're out there in the woods. It's just you and I. And like, I trust you with my life. I know that you'd be a steaming pile of flesh and bone.
Feet, don't fail me now. Take the girl. Leave me. Don't hurt me. Take the girl.
But it's like, that's terrifying. And that's, sometimes I have to like question myself. I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, why are we putting ourselves in this position? But then, after it's done, I'm like, we got to go back. It's like, we can't stop.
Thank you for that, Moondog Davis. You two are huge to the people that actually count. These people are all incredible, and more are coming to learn and add to your show. That is why we kind of push growth in the right direction for this. We could be a much larger channel right now if we followed the YouTube formula. But we're not YouTubers. We're people that share our stuff on YouTube because that's the best platform to share it on right now. We're not like YouTubers. We're not going to be, we're not going to show up with these giant fake like veneers and like do all the weird YouTube stuff.
You don't want
big chiclet teeth. No, I don't.
You don't want horse teeth installed in Turkey?
No, I don't want that. Installed in Turkey? Is that where they
That's
get them?
where they get them.
They go to Turkey?
Oh, yeah.
Pretty cheap to get big teeth?
Oh,
there?
you can get a full set of veneers to look like a big old Walton Goggins.
How much are we talking?
$1,200.
Damn, that's reasonable.
Is it reasonable for what horrors they do to you?
Let's not write the big veneers off right now at this point. I didn't know they were that. I was making fun of them because I thought they were out of my reach.
Oh, no.
Now they're in my reach, and now all of a sudden I'm going to change. So,
sell one of your luxury cats out there.
All right.
Sell the stray cat out back.
Just curious. You've mentioned research on missing people. Will you publish anything on the subject? Maybe another deep dive. We keep wanting to do like the dark dive podcast things again, but the field research,
our plate is so full with
right
field
now,
research stuff because we've
it
gotten
kills
to the
everything. And
we've gotten to the point where we have we're spinning a couple of plates with different locations, and we have stuff going on in each of these locations.
because a lot of people that do this stuff, I mean, a lot of people have generously contributed tonight and joined the membership program and everything like that. We don't live off of that. We work regular jobs to take care of our basic needs and then have money to put towards this. And then we use the money we get to go towards this stuff.
Yeah.
So that takes up some time. You know what? Maybe one day the channel will get so big enough that we could devote ourselves to this full time, but it's, right now we ain't in that spot, and I don't want to get into that spot unless it grows organically like that. But, so the dark dives, we have all these great ideas for them. It's just setting down, because if we spend a night doing that, that's a night we didn't spend
Out in the
setting
woods.
equipment or out in the woods.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people talking about stuff. We do this to interact with everybody. There's not a lot of people going out in the woods, just going.
I think that's one thing that makes us unique is that, we can do the dark dives. We can sit here and talk about it. We tend to kind of hit on a lot of the stuff on this Monday night show now. We did the dark dives back a couple years ago when we kind of took the summer off because it was just so hot. It's hotter than balls now, but
man, it's
we
rough
can't walk away from what's going on with like Joe was saying. All of this is building, and it seems like there's a lot of stuff just really ramping up. So we can't really get off of our duty to go out in the woods and do these investigations.
Thank you, Steve Causey. Appreciate that.
Steve Causey.
Anyway, a couple other things we had here real quick. Grizz, our boy Grizz wants to know anything special for the upcoming summer solstice. We're trying to figure that out right now.
Yeah.
We've got a short list we're working our way down. We're working it. We're working it down on it. I don't know.
You got this?
Yeah, I got this. I don't know.
Oh.
Anyway, and thank you for being a member for 7 months, Grizz. We greatly appreciate it, homie. Stephen Powers, thank you for that. You guys are jumping in on our side here tonight, man. Thank you.
So
thank you so much for that, Stephen. We're immensely grateful. And I'm hoping I didn't miss anybody else. And I have not seen anybody else call us ungrateful wretches here at this point. You got Sammy Eldon, right?
Yes.
Thank you, Sammy.
I've got one right here. Life 1042 says, Dogmen, many of them are microchipped, property of U.S. government. If you delete the Dogman, it sends a signal and black helicopter with special ops is incoming from nearest U.S. military base to signal location.
Well, Joe Barger. Joe Barger shot that thing outside of his truck, and they showed up and said that you did something to one of their assets. And you know what? There might be there might be a separate, just like the UAP phenomenon, it's all tied in together. They claim that we might have recovered crafts that we kind of know a little bit about, and we've repurposed them, but we just can't replicate them. And we have replicated them. They're just like a carbon copy of what the real thing is.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a real Dogman phenomenon, and the government has tried to replicate it, and they have things that are flesh. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So Joe's is the only story that I've really heard any sort of like government response.
I remember Joe told us that story
long before he went public with it, man. Yeah,
long before he went public.
When you meet him and you're just talking to him,
you just want to go public with it.
No, and you're talking to him and you're just going, Jesus, this dude's telling the truth, man.
And he had no intention of telling the story. I think he was talked into telling the story eventually, and it's probably good for him that he got it out of there like that, because it seemed like it was kind of really eating at him,
Yeah.
Suji, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Suji. Thank you. Greatly appreciate it. We got to bust out Suji's gift soon. I'm practicing with it to try to make sure that I can use it and not embarrass myself.
We've gotten calls from the neighbors while Joe's practicing. Stephen Powers.
Damn, Stephen Powers.
Super sticker. Thank you, Stephen.
Jeez, Lord, man. naming my firstborn after you.
You're gonna have to start
Stephen Powers Doyle. Stephen, I remember my name of my prospective son was going to be, hold on.
My name that I was going to use was Musket Doyle.
Musket Doyle was
That
going to
was
be what we were
mine.
going to name our kid. No, my son was going to be named Conan. Hold on a second. Conan Patrick Swayze. Thundar Genghis Wrath of Khan.
Jesus.
Richard Petty Doyle.
I thought
Dale Earnhardt Doyle. Yeah,
Dale
Earnhardt.
You went with Petty?
No, I don't know why that came to me, but that was going to be my kid's name. Long ass birth certificate. Thank you for that, Stephen Powers.
Now he's gonna add Stephen Powers up there.
Now I got to add Stephen Powers to it.
Get another ream of paper, Dolores.
Yeah. What is this kid called again? So, all right, Trista Meyer's heading out. Good night, Trista.
I'm gonna do a last call in a minute.
Yeah. Well, we'll do another 10.
Okay.
We'll do another 10 minutes. Got a good crowd in here tonight.
Yeah.
Karen Faust, thank you for that. Karen's every week. Thank you, Karen. We greatly appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Karen.
Thank you so much.
Aramis says he chips his dog too.
Thank
but
you
he
so
probably doesn't
much.
send the government after him.
Maybe it's Cerberus chips his dog there.
Cerberus.
Sue G says believes Joe Barger. Kim believes Joe Barger. We met Joe Barger just briefly, and like he was just so freaking believable in person.
Yeah.
I sometimes will hear publicly shared stories and just go, I think it's possible. I just don't believe this particular one. Just because the phenomenon or these phenomena are real doesn't mean that every story is real. And we just got to come to grips with that. And just because a couple of them are fake doesn't mean that the whole thing is fake. Joe Barger wasn't fake. Martin Groves wasn't fake. You just hear it and you just go, damn, this dude's telling the truth, man. That's a lot to unpack. So.
Paul Puglia has a hard-hitting question. Jesse and Joe, are you eating any different or new exciting snacks when you're out in the field?
Jesse's the exact same.
No, I've added something to my repertoire.
What?
Pistachios.
She has added pistachios.
Pistachios in the shell. So if you see a trail of pistachios,
I still live off of broken power bars and Pop-Tarts occasionally. And although, and then a quick little side note on this. Where did we go to that we got all that like sports nutrition food, like uber cheap because they were clearancing it out? Was that an Academy Sports thing? We went to Academy of Sports, and Academy Sports was clearance and all this stuff, and it wasn't expired. I guess they were just because they had some crazy stuff. We got these things called sports beans.
Oh,
remember
the sports beans.
They were like jelly beans.
But they're full of caffeine.
Full of caffeine and like fortified with all this extra stuff. And we were just living off sports beans. And that was just like a part. Matter of fact, some of the videos you never released.
Some of our early videos.
Were just
Joe's like filming me, and I'm like, excuse me, I'm taking a sport bean break.
Bean break here at that point.
Bean
so
break.
yeah, good Lord. I forgot all about the sports beans. Damn.
Yeah, we were jazzed on, we were high on the bean.
On that bean, kid. So
tweaking on the bean.
Jeff Yarrington, check out Mason Dixon Cryptids. We're going to be looking into everything cryptid in Maryland. Is that your group, Jeff? I'm assuming when you say we. So
we have a buddy that lives in Maryland.
We got a buddy that lives in Maryland, good friend of ours. So good luck out there, man. Hopefully you are successful and safe at the same time. So will somebody say caffeine?
Yeah.
She perked right up probably. So
Red Bull jelly beans.
All right. So what else we got here? So anyway, to get back to our original topic. Oh, Crystal's got a comment that I'm just going to put up for you to read. Is that, are we in for an increase in activity, and are we in for an increase in dramatic activity? And I think that we all need to be kind of aware of that going into the summer and pay attention to it, and let's all keep each other in the loop.
Yeah.
We are
definitely pay attention to any sort of like strange local news.
We do have a Discord for the members.
Yeah.
Jump in there if you guys are in there. There's a few diehards that are around all the time. We're in there as time allows, but share it with us, share it with each other. These Monday night shows are a good time to kind of come prepared with some stuff. We've got some really insightful people on this chat right now. We have people who have original thoughts to the point where I'm going, why the hell aren't you writing books? You know what I'm saying? With this sort of thought process. So I think that we need to get I think we just need to get our awareness in the right spot and see what happens. And who knows, maybe in the fall we'll go, it was a bust, slowest damn summer ever. I just don't feel that way right now, man. Life 1042, thank you again. Ship, non-ship is simple. One's born in government lab is chipped. Dogman born in the wild, packs are unchipped. Tricky part is you're forced to delete one in self-defense. How do you know? Has this happened to you, Life 1042?
That's because I have the same question. How do you know?
How do you know? You seem very specific in this. Has something happened to you that you would like to share with the class? Because you've got some very specific stuff here. Have you had something strange happen to you? Be interested. So,
Lady Wolf, I feel too stupid, so I don't go to Discord. Nut slap is in there, so
yeah, nut slap is in there. That's your bar right there, man. Anyway, all right, guys, we're gonna be wrapping up.
Yeah.
Great. I had a great time tonight. With you all. Thank you.
Haribo gummy bears. Oh yeah, girl, I'm a gummy freak. I don't know this.
Are those the ones that give you the squirt? So
no. No, those are sugar-free gummy bears from Amazon. No, Haribo gummy bears are the top-tier gummy bear.
No squirts?
No squirts.
They ought to have that on the packaging.
Squirt-free. What's wrong with you?
You won't get the squirts eating these, so melt those beans together. It's chitlin chunks.
Oh god.
We had so many of those. We didn't even eat them all before they finally expired. Even after they expired, I was just munching on them.
Yeah.
The sport beans. Hold on, and I'd be like, bean break. Gotta get myself a bean.
You got me hankering for a bean right now.
I wish I thought we had some of those beans. I eat them right now. So
be up all night. Roll that beautiful bean footage.
On that note,
keep an eye out. I will have a video out this week. I'm cranking away on it right now. And
we're gonna put a thing out. Members, let us know. Do you guys like? You're gonna get a ad-free version of it. Do you like that out first, and then you just watch that and you're done? Or do you like being a part of the premiere, which is usually pretty ad-free anyway? There's a little bit in the beginning, and where there's just one giant big chat. What do you guys want? We're here to serve you, master.
Yeah, let us know. I can put a poll up actually if you want. I'll put a poll up on our members community page for that. But also, we are going on a big expedition in a few days. So
keep your notifications on. We think we have some areas mapped out that both alone and then with the cell booster, so generously provided by our boy Steve Causey, who's redoing his book, by the way. He's rewriting his book, so hopefully that new he wrote a great book on the LBL.
V2.
Version 2.0.
So keep an eye out. I know for sure Sunday night for members there will be a live stream when we get our bearings about it.
And then Monday it's going to be for everybody. And all I ask is this. We are going to be in an area that I don't think anybody will be able to identify. Members, we're going to hit hard. Please don't share it publicly. And if you are watching it publicly, please don't say where we're at.
Yeah.
That opens up some safety issues for us. There's some people out there that would love to get Jesse out of the picture and get their hands on me.
Yeah, sick individuals.
I don't want to end up in a trunk, locked up in a basement.
For 10 years.
Because of somebody's loose lips.
Sinking Joes.
All
right, guys. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Helmet Holler Live. I'm going to make dinner and then get back into my cave and edit some video so that you guys can check out some of our latest adventures. It's actually an older adventure, but it's freaking wild. It's fun.
Seth, you're late. We're getting ready to call it.
Yeah, Seth. Welcome, Seth. You just got to hit the rewind button.
The solstice is on a Thursday and it's a full moon.
Yeah.
Damn it. We might have to adult. All right. Anyway, so thank you all.
Yeah. I'm gonna play that cool graphic I made again, just because. Hey, why not?
Next week it's just gonna be nothing but that graphic.
It's gonna
be
that
over
graphic
and over again for an hour and a half.
And over and over. But thank you guys again for being a part of Helmet Holler Live. Thank you for everybody. Thank you to everybody who there was super stickers, super chats, everything. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. All of that goes towards equipment. Like Joe said before, he and I both have full-time jobs. So all of that goes to equipment.
Keeping this bad
and us going, and us being able to go to these locations, travel to these locations to do these investigations. We could not do it without you. You guys are the best, the members and everybody that does these super chats and super stickers. We appreciate every bit of it.
It keeps it going publicly for everybody. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. But thank you guys very much. We appreciate you.
Oh, Henry, good night. Welcome again. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
And why don't you roll us out with that awesome little Hellbent holographic again, Jesse?
Drop that down there and then we'll do that. Here's a cool thing I made. Check it out, y'all. All right. Bye. Y'all have a good night.